Rain hammered the glass of Victor Reed's penthouse as he stared at the wedding invitation on his desk. Natalie Winters was marrying Harrison Brooks, CEO of Brooks Pharmaceuticals. The woman who left him when he had nothing was now marrying old money. Victor swirled whiskey in his crystal glass, letting it burn down his throat. At 38, he had built a billion-dollar empire from scratch, yet none of it meant anything in this moment. "Will you be attending, sir?" Palmer asked from the doorway. Victor's smile was cold. "Actually, I will be, and I need a date. Shall I call someone from your usual contacts?" "No." Victor grabbed his coat. "I need someone unexpected." The rain soaked through his wool coat as he walked downtown. 3 blocks from his building, he found her. She sat under a store awning, sketching in a worn notebook, completely absorbed. Her stillness amid the chaos made him stop. She looked up. Clear, hazel eyes met his, holding both defiance and dignity. "Can I help you?" Her voice was refined, educated. "Possibly." "What's your name?" "Olivia Spencer." "I'm Victor Reed." Recognition flickered across her face. Everyone knew Reed Technologies. "I have a proposition. I need a date for a wedding." "Someone unexpected." He moved under her small umbrella. "I'll pay you well." $5,000 for one evening." She raised an eyebrow. "And you thought a homeless woman would be sufficiently shocking?" Her directness caught him off guard. "I'll pay you 10,000 plus a complete makeover." "Why me?" "Because you're real. And because my ex-fiancée prides herself on her charity work with the homeless." The irony would be perfect. Something flickered in her eyes. Anger, maybe. Or interest. "When is this wedding?" "Next Saturday." She closed her sketchbook carefully. 20,000. Half up front. And I keep everything you buy me. Victor blinked. "Done. One more condition. I'm not just arm candy. I have my own backstory, my own way of handling this." "Fine, but no sabotage that reflects poorly on me." "Deal." She extended her hand as they shook. Victor couldn't shake the feeling that Olivia Spencer was more than she appeared. But that was a concern for another day. For now, he had the perfect weapon to disrupt Natalie's perfect wedding. The next morning, a car arrived at the women's shelter where Olivia stayed. She emerged in faded jeans and a worn green sweater, her dark hair in a simple ponytail. But her posture, her gaze, they spoke of someone who once belonged to a different world. At the boutique, personal shoppers waited. Before they began, Olivia turned to Victor. "Should tell you something. I wasn't always homeless," figured. "Your speech, the way you carry yourself. 2 years ago I had a career, an apartment, a life." Her expression hardened. "Circumstances change. What happened? That's not part of our arrangement." For the next several hours, Victor watched her transformation. She chose elegant styles over flashy ones, pieces that whispered old money rather than screamed new wealth. Her taste was impeccable, sophisticated. "You worked in fashion?" he asked as she emerged in a midnight blue gown. The art world. Aesthetics were important. By late afternoon, Olivia stood in his penthouse surrounded by bags and boxes. Her hair fell in soft waves, expertly colored. Her skin glowed. She moved with renewed confidence. "Your room is down the hall," Victor said. "You'll stay here until the wedding. We need to get our story straight." Olivia stepped into the guest suite, her eyes widening slightly. "This is bigger than my old apartment. Make yourself comfortable. Dinner at 8. We'll talk strategy." Alone in his office, Victor searched for information on Olivia Spencer. He found references to an Olivia Spencer who worked at Bennett Gallery until 2 years ago. Then nothing. She had simply vanished. At 8 sharp, Olivia joined him wearing a simple black dress, her hair in an elegant twist. The transformation was startling. She looked like she belonged. "You clean up well," Victor said, pouring wine, "so I've been told." A small smile played at her lips. "What exactly do you want from me at this wedding?" Victor leaned back. "Natalie left me when my company was struggling. 6 months later, I landed a contract that changed everything. Now, I'm worth billions, and she's marrying another trust fund heir. And you want her to regret her choice? I want her to see what she missed. Harrison is safe, predictable. I want to remind her of the edge she gave up. Olivia sipped her wine thoughtfully. And I'm evidence of your charitable nature? The homeless woman you rescued? No. Victor's voice was firm. You're my equal. Intelligent, refined, mysterious. Someone who makes her question everything that I can do. But I'll need to know the real you, not the version in magazines. As the evening progressed, Victor revealed more than intended. His childhood in foster care, his drive to succeed, the relationships he'd sabotaged with his ambition. Olivia listened intently, asking questions that showed genuine interest. Your turn, Victor said, finally. Olivia hesitated. I was a curator at Bennett Gallery. I specialized in emerging artists. I was good at it. What happened? Her eyes darkened. I trusted the wrong person. Made an error that cost me everything. She glanced at her watch. It's late. We should continue tomorrow. As she stood, Victor caught her hand. One last question. Why did you agree to this? 20,000 is good money, but not life-changing. Olivia's expression was unreadable. Perhaps I have my own reasons to be at Natalie Winter's wedding. She slipped her hand from his and disappeared down the hallway, leaving Victor with the distinct impression that he might not be the only one with an agenda. Over 3 days, Victor watched Olivia adapt to luxury like someone returning home rather than discovering it. She spent hours in his library, reading financial journals and art publications. When he asked why, she simply said she was getting into character. Friday evening arrived. The rehearsal dinner at the St. Regis Hotel. In his Bentley, Victor briefed Olivia on the guest list. Natalie's parents never approved of me. Too rough around the edges. The Brooks family is very conservative. Old pharmaceutical money. What's our story? Olivia adjusted her borrowed Cartier earrings. We met at a gallery opening 3 months ago. You've been consulting for my foundation on arts education. Simple. Verifiable. Close enough to truth. Will Natalie believe you're with someone like me? From what you've said, you usually pursue a certain type. That's exactly the point. You're nothing like who she'd expect. You're substantive. I'm also supposedly working for you. Some might call that problematic. Only if it weren't genuine, Victor replied. Surprising himself with his sincerity, the hotel ballroom gleamed cream and gold. Victor felt Olivia tense as they entered. He placed his hand at the small of her back. Problems? Just getting into character. Her smile became dazzling as they approached the first group of guests. Olivia was remarkable. She discussed market trends with bankers, debated artists with gallery owners, even charmed Natalie's usually taciturn father with yacht racing knowledge. Where did you find her? Thomas Winters asked Victor privately. She's remarkable. At a gallery. And yes, she is. Natalie's noticed. She's been watching you all evening. Victor glanced across the room. Natalie stood with Harrison, beautiful in champagne silk. Their eyes met, and Victor felt not love but wounded pride. He approached Olivia, who was laughing with the Carmichael twins. When she saw him, her eyes lit up with what seemed like genuine pleasure. She was a better actress than he'd anticipated. Diana was telling me about your college sailing incident, Olivia said. Victor groaned. Some stories are better left buried. Nonsense, Diana laughed. Your date deserves to know what she's getting into. We should circulate, Victor said, taking Olivia's hand. Dinner's starting soon. Natalie at 3 o'clock, Olivia whispered. Heading this way, showtime. Victor turned as Natalie reached them, Harrison trailing behind. Victor, I'm so glad you could come, Natalie said warmly. Wouldn't miss it. Natalie Harrison, this is Olivia Spencer. Lovely to meet you, Natalie said, her eyes assessing. Victor rarely brings dates. You must be special. He's the special one, Olivia replied smoothly. But then you would know that better than most. Natalie's smile tightened imperceptibly. How did you meet? At the Hoffman Gallery. I was admiring a Callaway piece Victor had just purchased. Olivia's been helping me develop arts programs for underserved communities, Victor added. She has remarkable insight. Harrison extended his hand. Brooks Pharmaceuticals has a similar initiative. Perhaps we could compare notes. I'd be delighted, Olivia said. Something in her tone made Victor glance at her. Her smile remained perfect, but there was a hardness in her eyes when she looked at Harrison, something he hadn't seen before. "How long have you been in the nonprofit world?" Harrison asked. "My involvement has been somewhat intermittent. Life circumstances." "Olivia has an incredible eye for emerging talent," Victor interjected. "She's revolutionizing our acquisition strategy." "How wonderful," Natalie said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "We should find our seats." The seating chart was a nightmare. "I can imagine," Olivia said with perfect sincerity. "The social dynamics must be challenging." As the couple moved away, Victor whispered, "Well played. She's exactly as you described. Beautiful, poised, completely aware of her social standing." Olivia's expression darkened. A typical entitled air. Nothing special. Their table placement spoke volumes. Not with family, but close enough to be respectful. Throughout dinner, Victor genuinely enjoyed Olivia's company. She was witty, insightful, made him feel at ease in a situation he'd been dreading. Natalie kept watching them, her expression mixing curiosity with something that might have been regret. Later, over coffee, Thomas leaned toward Olivia. "Victor mentioned you worked at Bennett Gallery. Did you know Edmund Bennett?" Victor felt Olivia stiffen beside him. "Yes," she said carefully. "I worked directly with him for several years. It's terrible what happened there. The art world lost a visionary." "Yes." Olivia's voice was tight. "Excuse me? I need the ladies' room." As she left, Victor turned to Thomas. "What happened at Bennett Gallery?" Thomas looked surprised. "You don't know?" Edmund Bennett committed suicide after his gallery went bankrupt. Massive fraud scandal. Someone was authenticating forgeries. The gallery's reputation was destroyed overnight. When was this? About 2 years ago. It was all over the news. Victor's mind raced, connecting the timing. When Olivia returned, her composure was restored. But she avoided further conversation with Thomas. In the Bentley later that night, Victor decided to address what he'd learned. Thomas mentioned Edmund Bennett. Olivia looked out the window. "I wondered if it would come up. You said you lost everything because you trusted the wrong person." No. She turned to face him. "Edmund Bennett trusted the wrong person. That was collateral damage. The forgery scandal." She nodded. "I was his chief curator. I didn't know about the forgeries, but it didn't matter. My reputation was ruined by association. No gallery would touch me. That's why you disappeared." "I disappeared because I had no choice." Her voice cracked slightly. "Edmund took his own life. I lost everything. My career, my apartment, my savings, trying to clear my name. Within 6 months, I was on the street." Victor pulled the car over, turning to face her fully. The streetlights cast shadows across her face, highlighting the pain in her eyes. "Who did it? Who authenticated the forgeries?" Olivia's jaw tightened. "I don't know. The investigation was closed after Edmund died. He left a note taking full responsibility. But I know he didn't do it. He loved art too much to destroy it. Tomorrow you'll see Natalie marry Harrison Brooks." Yes, something flickered in her expression. Something Victor couldn't quite read. "Olivia, what aren't you telling me?" She met his eyes directly. "Edmund's gallery specialized in pharmaceutical air collections. Harrison Brooks was one of our biggest clients. He was there the week before everything fell apart." Implication hung in the air between them. "Heavy and dangerous? You think Harrison was involved?" "I think Harrison Brooks knows more than he admitted to investigators. And tomorrow, I'm going to find out exactly what that is." Victor's hands tightened on the steering wheel. This wasn't just about his revenge anymore. Olivia had her own agenda. It could destroy everything. Saturday morning arrived with brilliant sunshine, mocking the storm brewing inside Victor's penthouse. He found Olivia on the terrace, already dressed in her wedding attire. A stunning emerald dress that made her eyes luminous. "We need to talk about last night," Victor said, closing the glass door behind him. "What's there to talk about?" Olivia didn't turn around. "You want to make Natalie jealous?" "I want answers about what destroyed my life. Our goals align." Unless your vendetta destroys my reputation in the process. Victor stepped closer. I've built everything from nothing. I won't let it crumble because you're chasing ghosts. Olivia finally turned, her expression fierce. Ghosts. Edmund Bennett was my mentor. He was like a father to me, and someone drove him to suicide while walking away with millions in fraudulent sales. If Harrison Brooks was involved, I will expose him. Not today. Not at this wedding. Then when Victor... Her voice rose. How long should I wait for justice? Another 2 years sleeping in shelters? Another decade watching guilty people live in luxury? I'm not saying never. I'm saying not like this. Not without proof. Olivia's laugh was bitter. You hired me to be your revenge prop. How is that any different from what I'm doing? The truth of her words stung. Victor had no answer. Palmer appeared at the door. Sir, the car is ready. The drive to the cathedral was silent. Victor watched Olivia stare out the window, her jaw set with determination. He'd made a terrible mistake. He'd been so focused on his own wounded pride that he'd brought a bomb to a wedding. The cathedral was magnificent. Cream roses and white orchids adorned every surface. Guests arrived in designer suits and couture gowns. Victor and Olivia were seated 6 rows from the front, close enough to be acknowledged. Far enough to know their place. Natalie appeared at the altar in an ivory gown that probably cost 6 figures. She was radiant. Harrison stood waiting, confident in his tailored tuxedo. They looked perfect together. Old money marrying old money. Victor felt Olivia's hand slip into his. He glanced at her, surprised by the gesture. Her eyes were fixed on Harrison with an intensity that made Victor's stomach drop. The ceremony began. Traditional vows, classical music, everything proper and predictable. When the priest asked if anyone objected, Victor felt Olivia's hand tighten around his. For one terrifying moment, he thought she would stand. She didn't, but her breathing had quickened. Are you okay? He whispered. No, she whispered back, but I will be. The reception was held in the cathedral's grand hall. Crystal chandeliers, live orchestra, champagne flowing like water. Victor and Olivia moved through the crowd playing their roles. But Victor couldn't shake his unease. During dinner, Olivia excused herself. Victor watched her head not toward the restrooms, but toward a hallway leading to the administrative offices. He followed, staying far enough back to avoid notice. He found her standing outside a door marked private. Her hand on the knob, double quotes, Olivia, don't. She turned, her eyes blazing. Harrison's office is in this building. The Brooks family donated the wing. If there's proof, it might be here. This is insane. You'll be arrested for breaking and entering, then leave. Go back to Natalie. Remind her what she lost. Isn't that why we're here? Victor grabbed her arm. That was before I knew you. Before I understood what you've been through. You don't know me, Victor. You hired a prop for your revenge fantasy. Is that really what you think? His voice was rough. The last 3 days, the conversations, the way you look at me, that was all an act. Olivia's expression softened slightly. I don't know what's real anymore. Before Victor could respond, a voice cut through the hallway. Well, isn't this interesting? Harrison Brooks stood at the end of the hall, 2 security guards flanking him. Olivia Spencer. I wondered if you'd show up eventually. Harrison's smile was cold. You've been asking questions about me for 2 years. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Olivia's face went pale. You knew who I was at the rehearsal dinner, of course. You think I wouldn't recognize Edmund Bennett's little protege? Even with the makeover. Victor stepped forward. I don't know what's happening here, but we were just leaving. No. Olivia's voice was steady, despite her trembling. I'm not running anymore. Tell them, Harrison. Tell them what you did to Edmund's gallery. Harrison laughed. I didn't do anything. I was a client who purchased art. If some of it turned out to be forgeries, well, that's unfortunate. But not my fault. You authenticated them yourself. You had the expertise, the access, the motivation. You sold the real pieces through private channels and replaced them with fakes. Prove it, Harrison said simply. The paper trail exists. Your family's pharmaceutical connections to the paper mills in Eastern Europe? The same mills that produce the canvas used in the forgeries. Harrison's smile faded. You can't prove anything. And even if you could, who would believe a homeless woman with a vendetta over a Brooks family heir? Victor saw red. He stepped forward, but Olivia grabbed his arm. Don't. I want you to hit him. He wants grounds to press charges, discredit both of us. Harrison's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. It seems we have a situation. Victor, your assistant Palmer just sent files to the district attorney's office. Financial records linking Brooks Pharmaceuticals to several art forgery operations. Victor's eyes widened. What? I took the liberty of doing my own investigation this week, came Palmer's voice from behind them. He stepped into the hallway, holding a tablet. Once Mr. Reed told me about Miss Spencer's background, I became curious. The Brooks family has been running art fraud schemes for years, using pharmaceutical connections to source materials and selling forgeries to wealthy collectors while keeping the originals. Harrison's face contorted with rage. You have no authority to investigate me. No, but the FBI does. Palmer showed them the tablet screen. They've been building a case for 6 months. My tip just accelerated their timeline. They're executing warrants at Brooks Pharmaceuticals right now. The security guards received messages on their radios. Their expressions changed as they stepped away from Harrison and toward him instead. Mr. Brooks, you need to come with us, one said quietly. Harrison's eyes locked on Olivia. This isn't over. Yes, Olivia said softly. It is. Edmund can finally rest now. As security escorted Harrison away, chaos erupted in the reception hall. Guests murmuring, Natalie's scream of confusion echoing through the building. Victor turned to Olivia, who had collapsed against the wall, tears streaming down her face. He pulled her into his arms as she finally let herself break. It's over, he whispered into her hair. You did it? You got justice? But when she pulled back to look at him, her expression wasn't triumphant. It was devastated. I've destroyed Natalie's wedding, humiliated her in front of everyone. Used you for my own agenda. Her voice cracked. I'm no better than Harrison. I used you, Victor. Just like Natalie did. That's not true, isn't it? You hired me for revenge. I agreed because I wanted access to Harrison. We both used each other. Victor cupped her face in his hands. Maybe that's how it started. But that's not what this is now. What is it then? I don't know. But I know I haven't felt this alive in years. I know that watching you fight for justice made me remember why I started my company in the first place. Not for money or revenge, but to build something meaningful. Olivia closed her eyes. I can't do this. I can't be another person you try to save. I'm not trying to save you. You saved yourself. You survived 2 years of hell and came out fighting. You don't need me to rescue you, then what do you want from me? Victor realized the truth as he said it. I want you to stay. Not because I'm paying you. Not because of some arrangement. But because when I'm with you, I remember who I wanted to be before bitterness made me forget. Sirens wailed outside as FBI vehicles arrived. Guests were being questioned. Natalie stood in her wedding gown, mascara running, her perfect day shattered, and Victor felt nothing but relief that he hadn't married her, that he'd found someone real instead of someone perfect. But Olivia was already pulling away from him, shaking her head. I need to go. I need to think. She started walking toward the exit. Olivia, wait. She turned back one last time. You got your revenge, Victor. Natalie will always remember this day. And I got mine. Harrison is finished. We both got what we wanted. Is that really what you think we wanted? She didn't answer. She just walked away. Disappearing into the crowd of confused wedding guests and arriving federal agents, Palmer appeared at Victor's side. Sir, should I bring her back? Victor watched Olivia vanish through the cathedral doors. No, let her go. She needs to decide what she wants without me influencing her. And if she decides to walk away, Victor's chest tightened with an ache he hadn't felt in years. Then I'll have to learn to live with it. But as he stood in the ruins of Natalie's wedding, surrounded by chaos, Victor realized something terrifying. He'd hired Olivia to help him get over his ex-fiancée. Instead, he'd fallen in love with her. 3 days passed. Victor heard nothing from Olivia. She'd left his penthouse without taking any of the clothes or jewelry. The guest room looked untouched, as if she'd never been there at all. Palmer found him Friday evening, staring at the same spot on his desk where the wedding invitation had once sat. "Miss Spencer has been staying at the women's shelter again. I took the liberty of checking. Did she ask you to find her?" "No, sir." "Then leave her alone. She knows where I am." Palmer hesitated. "There's something else. The media is having a field day. Harrison Brooks's arrest is front-page news. And your name keeps appearing." Victor grabbed the tablet Palmer offered. Headlines screamed about the billionaire who exposed pharmaceutical fraud, the mysterious woman who brought down a dynasty, the wedding that ended in federal raids. Worse were the photos. Victor and Olivia entering the cathedral together, her hand in his during the ceremony. The two of them in the hallway before Harrison's arrest. To the world, they looked like a couple. Like something real. His phone rang. "Natalie." "Out. Don't hang up," she said immediately. "Please," Victor answered. "What do you want, Natalie?" "To apologize. And to thank you." It caught him off guard. "Thank me." Harrison was using me. Using my family's reputation to legitimize his operations. If you hadn't brought Olivia, if she hadn't exposed him, I would have married a criminal. Her voice cracked. "You saved me from making a terrible mistake. I didn't do it for you. No. You did it for revenge. And somehow that makes it worse." She paused. "I'm sorry, Victor. For leaving when you were struggling. For not believing in you. You deserved better than what I gave you." Victor felt something release in his chest. The anger he'd carried for years. The need to prove himself. It all seemed suddenly pointless. "I did deserve better. But so did you. We weren't right for each other, Natalie. We would have destroyed each other eventually, maybe. But that woman, Olivia, she's right for you. I saw how you looked at her. I'm not sure she feels the same way." "Then you're an idiot." "She looked at you the same way." Natalie laughed softly. "Go find her, Victor. Don't let pride ruin something real." After they hung up, Victor sat in silence. Natalie was right. He'd spent 3 days giving Olivia space when what he should have been doing was fighting for her. He grabbed his coat. "Palma, I need the address of that shelter." "Already loaded in your GPS, sir." Victor found Olivia in the shelter's common room, sketching in the same worn notebook he'd first seen. She looked up as he entered, her expression guarded. "You came. Did you think I wouldn't? I hoped you'd forgotten about me. Moved on to someone less complicated." Victor sat across from her. "I don't want less complicated. I want you. You don't even know me, Victor. What we had was an arrangement. A business transaction? Is that what you tell yourself?" He leaned forward. "Because I remember every conversation. Every moment you let your guard down. Every time you smiled at something I said and I felt like I could breathe again." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "Don't do this." "Why not?" "Because it scares you? Because it's real? Because I can't be what you need." She closed her sketchbook with shaking hands. "You need someone strong. Someone who has their life together. I'm broken, Victor. I sleep in a shelter. I lost everything. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You survived 2 years of hell and came out fighting for justice. You didn't compromise who you were. I used you. And I used you. We're even." He reached across and took her hand. "But what happens next? That's up to us. Not our past mistakes." Olivia pulled her hand away. "You don't understand. When everything fell apart, when Edmund died, I tried to end it too. I stood on a bridge for 3 hours trying to find the courage to jump." Victor felt his heart stop. "Olivia. A stranger talked me down. Some random woman who sat with me until dawn, telling me stories about her own losses. Her own reasons to keep living?" Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "I can't let you love someone who is that close to giving up. What if I get that low again? Then I'll sit with you until dawn. I'll tell you every reason you have to stay, and I won't leave until you believe it." Victor's voice was fierce. You think I'm some hero who has it all together? I built an empire to fill the hole my childhood left. I hired you for revenge because I couldn't let go of rejection. We're both damaged, Olivia, but maybe together we can be whole. She looked at him with such raw vulnerability it hurt. What if I can't do this? What if I let you down? Then we figure it out. Together. Olivia stood abruptly. I need to show you something. She led him to her bunk, pulling a folder from beneath her thin pillow. Inside were newspaper clippings, printed emails, notes in her handwriting. A 2-year investigation into Harrison Brooks. I planned this, she said quietly. When I saw you that night in the rain, I recognized you. I knew you'd been Natalie's fiancé. I knew you'd be at the wedding. I manipulated the entire situation to get close to Harrison. Victor stared at the evidence of her calculated deception. You played me from the beginning. Yes. She met his eyes. I saw an opportunity, and I took it. Used your pain for my own purposes. That's who I am, Victor. Someone who manipulates people to get what they want. The betrayal should have hurt. Should have made him angry. Instead, Victor started laughing. What's funny? You think this changes anything? I hired you as revenge against my ex. You used me to investigate a criminal. We're both morally gray at best. But you got justice for your mentor, and I finally let go of the past. He stepped closer. You think I didn't suspect you had your own agenda? I knew there was more to your story. I just didn't care because being with you made me remember what it felt like to want something real. How can you forgive this? Because I understand it? Because I would have done the same thing in your position. He cupped her face gently. Stop looking for reasons to push me away. Stop trying to protect me from yourself. I know exactly who you are, Olivia Spencer, and I'm choosing you anyway. This is insane. Probably. But I've spent my whole life being calculated and safe. For once, I want to be reckless. Olivia kissed him then, fierce and desperate. When they broke apart, she was crying again. I'm terrified. So am I. Victor pulled her close. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. She buried her face in his chest. What do we do now? Now we figure out what comes next. Together. But as Victor held Olivia in the fluorescent lights of the shelter, surrounded by the remnants of her investigation, he realized something that made his blood run cold. Harrison Brooks wasn't working alone. The forgery operation was too sophisticated, too connected, and now that Harrison was arrested, whoever else was involved would be desperate to cover their tracks, which meant Olivia was still in danger, and Victor had just painted a target on both their backs by falling in love with her. The threat came at dawn. A package delivered to Victor's penthouse, no return address. Inside was a single photograph of Olivia leaving the shelter, red crosshairs drawn over her face. No note necessary. Victor's hands shook as he called Palmer. Get Olivia here now. Use any means necessary. Sir, there's something you should know. Harrison Brooks posted bail an hour ago. The fear was immediate and visceral. How is that possible? His family's lawyers? But there's more. Brooks Pharmaceuticals has ties to organized crime in Eastern Europe. The FBI believes Harrison was a middleman, not the mastermind, which means someone bigger wants Olivia silenced.
Yes.
Sir, when Olivia arrived flanked by 2 of Victor's security team, her eyes widened at his expression. What happened? He showed her the photograph. Watch the color drain from her face. They know where I am. You're not going back there. You're staying here where I can protect you. No. Olivia's voice was firm, despite her trembling. I won't hide. I won't let them make me disappear again. This isn't about pride, Olivia. These people kill witnesses, and we go to the FBI. Give them everything I have. Palmer entered, his expression grim. The FBI agent handling the Brooks case was found dead this morning. Apparent suicide. Olivia sank into a chair. They're cleaning house. Victor knelt in front of her. We run tonight. I have accounts they can't trace. Properties in countries with no extradition. We disappear until this blows over. Spend our lives looking over our shoulders. Always running? She shook her head. That's not living, Victor. That's just a different kind of prison. Better a prison than a grave, no? Olivia stood, her eyes blazing with the same fire he'd seen that first night in the rain. Edmund didn't die, so I could spend my life hiding. He died because he tried to fight this alone. But I'm not alone anymore. What are you suggesting? We finish what I started. We expose everyone involved. Make it so public they can't silence us without confirming everything. Palmer cleared his throat. There may be a way. If we could access Harrison's personal files, the ones not seized by the FBI, we might find evidence of his partners. Where would those files be? Victor asked. His family estate. The Brooks mansion. Olivia stood. Then that's where we go. That's suicide, Victor said flatly. Maybe. Or maybe it's the only way either of us gets to live freely. She took his hands. You said you wanted to be reckless. Prove it. The Brooks estate was a fortress of old money and older secrets. Victor's contacts got them past the front gate, past the initial security. But as they approached the main house, alarms began to wail. Go, Palmer said, passing Victor a flash drive. Get to Harrison's office. 3rd floor, East Wing. I'll handle security. Palmer, you can't. I've been with you since the beginning, Mr. Reed. Since you were nobody trying to be somebody. Let me do this. Palmer smiled. Besides, I'm too old to run. Victor gripped his shoulder, understanding this was goodbye. Then he and Olivia were running through marble hallways, priceless art blurring past. They found Harrison's office. Olivia moved immediately to his computer, while Victor kept watch. They're coming, he said, hearing shouts from below. Almost there. The files are encrypted, but got it? She plugged in the flash drive, downloading everything. The door burst open. Harrison Brooks stood there, no longer the polished groom, but something feral and dangerous. He held a gun. You should have run when you had the chance. We're tired of running, Olivia said, still downloading files. How noble. Edmund said the same thing before he jumped. Harrison's smile was cruel. Did you know I was there? I told him I'd destroy everyone he loved if he talked. He chose the coward's way out. Olivia's hand stilled. You killed him. I gave him a choice. Just like I'm giving you one now. Delete those files and disappear, or die here tonight. Victor stepped in front of Olivia. There's a third option. Those files are already uploading to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency. Kill us, and you confirm everything in them. Harrison's expression flickered with uncertainty. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your phone. See what's trending on social media right now? Harrison pulled out his phone, his face contorting as he saw the headlines. Evidence of international art fraud flooding the internet. His family's name destroyed in real time. You've ruined everything, no, Olivia said, stepping beside Victor. You ruined everything when you chose greed over integrity. This is just consequences. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Harrison looked between them and the window, calculating his options. This isn't over. Yes, Victor said. It is. Harrison ran, disappearing into the estate's hidden passages. Victor and Olivia stood together as police flooded the mansion as evidence was cataloged. As an empire built on deception finally crumbled, 6 months later, Victor found Olivia on the terrace of their new apartment, sketching the sunrise. Not his penthouse, but something they'd chosen together. Something that was theirs, Palmer called, she said without looking up. Harrison's trial starts next week. The prosecutor is confident. Good. Victor wrapped his arms around her from behind. In your gallery opening? Next month, small artists, big dreams. Just like Edmund would have wanted. She leaned into him. Are you sure about funding it? It's a risky investment. The best things always are. Olivia turned in his arms, studying his face. Do you ever regret it? That night in the rain? Everything that came after? Every single day. Her expression fell. Victor, I regret that I almost walked past you. That I almost missed the chance to meet the woman who would change my life. He kissed her softly. I regret that you suffered for 2 years before I found you. But I don't regret a single moment after that, even the parts where I used you. Especially those parts. They taught me that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing someone knowing their flaws and deciding they're worth it anyway. Olivia smiled, the real smile that still took his breath away. When did you get so wise? When I stopped trying to control everything and let myself fall? She kissed him then, and Victor tasted salt on her lips. Happy tears this time, not sad ones. I love you, she whispered against his mouth. My morally gray billionaire.
I love you too.
My brilliant, reckless curator. As the sun rose over the city, Victor thought about the invitation that had started everything. Natalie's wedding, meant to be his revenge, had become his salvation. He'd hired Olivia to help him get over his past. Instead, she'd given him a future. The art world had forgiven her. Edmund's name had been cleared posthumously. Harrison and his co-conspirators faced decades in prison. Palmer had retired comfortably with Victor's gratitude and a generous pension. And Victor had learned that sometimes the best revenge is living well. Not proving something to those who doubted you, building something real with someone who sees all your broken pieces and loves you anyway. Olivia pulled back, her eyes bright. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking that I hired you for $20,000 and got something priceless. What's that? A partner. An equal. Someone who challenges me, infuriates me, and makes me want to be better than I am. That's the sappiest thing you've ever said. Get used to it. I plan on being sappy for a very long time. Olivia laughed, the sound filling their home with warmth. I can live with that. And as they stood together, watching the city wake up, Victor realized that revenge had never been what he needed. Justice was important. Closure was necessary. But love, real and complicated and worth fighting for, was everything. The end.